and welcome to Bury Our Bones with Cinema, the podcast that lives, breathes and dies classic movies, not so classic movies and everything in between. Joining me for the first time in over 2 years is the man who promised himself he would never do a podcast again with someone who made him watch Jingle All the Way, the bearded king Jimmy Murphy. In today's episode, we take a look at the age-old cliche of practical effects standing the test of time far better than CGI. So join us as we discover how an old lady rapidly ages before our eyes, melts some Nazi faces, and finally let some alien life forms burst from our chests. This podcast contains spoilers. So the massive elephant in the room is that you're back.
That's right.
So
Hello there.
It's good to...
What's that, Poltergeist 2? I'm back.
You are back.
And yeah, it's because of Jingle All the Way. That's what it was. I started to listen to that episode the other day.
Did it bring back some horrific trauma for you?
At one point, we do joke about it at the end of the podcast.
It is kind of the funniest thing is that you say that, and then for any of our listeners will just be like, "This man has just disappeared."
He wasn't joking. He was laughing at the time, but then we never heard of him again.
There was a poison to the laugh, an absolute poison to the laugh. So
it was an interesting episode, though. I literally spent I was listening to it. And I seem to spend the entire time going, why is this film shit? This film shouldn't be shit. I just go round in this circle for ages. I think at one point I referred to it as asinine beyond all belief.
I mean, that sounds about accurate for your distaste for the film. I did say I was going to watch it next Christmas. I did not. No, I mean, that was fairly obvious that was never going to happen. It was also quite funny as well, because I remember going into that episode thinking, this will be a good episode. And then not quite understanding the sheer level of hate that was spewing from you as we are going, okay, this has taken a turn I wasn't quite expecting. I thought he probably won't like it, but I didn't think he would hate it quite as much as he does.
I thought it was one of our better episodes, to be honest.
Well,
that friction leads to drama, leads to comedy gold.
Just the element of like, this could break a relationship is something that every podcast needs.
At one point I did say, it makes me judge every opinion you have ever had and ever will have. And then we never did another podcast again.
Yeah. And until now.
We did try. We nearly got together to do Get Carter, didn't we?
We did.
Did. I had a kid.
Which is
full-time job, looking after my kid, looking after my mum who's not well, and I haven't slept for 2 years.
So
it literally started with, I don't have time to watch movies anymore. And now it's like, I sort of still don't have time, but when I do, I can't concentrate anywhere near enough to watch a movie. I can manage about a half hour, 45 minutes, and then I'm like, I'll go to bed. I can't concentrate.
You just need to change the whole podcast to only focus on very, very succinct sitcoms.
Yeah, just really old films that last 45
We're doing one
minutes.
Episode of this sitcom from 1993.
Yeah. I think it's probably not true, but I think the only film I've watched in the last 2 years was that Nosferatu.
Yeah.
It's probably not true, but it's the only one I can remember watching.
I think
I thoroughly enjoyed.
In our conversations in this period of time, because for anybody listening, it feels as though
we haven't spoken for 2 years.
We've parted ways under some bitter, almost like Hall & Oates, where we can't quite decide who has the rights to the podcast.
Yeah.
But we have actually spoken. The conversations have been light.
They've been cordial.
Albeit with a faint aura of cynicism. But we have had, and I think, that was the only film I can specifically remember us talking about and saying, I went to see this, and then I went to see it. And it's a very decent film.
Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Funnily enough, completely randomly, one of the people I've just recently done the show with, he has auditioned for Robert Eggers, who directed Nosferatu.
Old Eggers.
So there you go. That's just some...
I went to see you in your I was going to say starring debut, but it's not neither of those things.
It's my return to the stage.
Your return to the stage. I went to see you in the Unfriend, and it was amazing. You were very good, very funny. It was a stellar cast. I didn't know much about it. I knew that it was written by Stephen Moffat. Moffat.
Yeah,
Stephen
that's
Moffat.
how I've always pronounced the name.
And it did have Reece Shearsmith. Did it have Lee Mack in it at one point?
It did have Lee Mack in it. The original cast was Reece Shearsmith, Amanda Abbington, and Frances Barber. And then the kind of new cast was Lee Mack, I want to say Samantha Janice, and Frances Barber again, reprising her role as Elsa. But that was good fun, and thank you very much for coming to see it.
It was excellent. It was really weird for me. I mean, it was the only time I've left the house in 2 years.
There was a point where I was like, Jim's going to see through any bullshit. I remember, I think when we went to see, what was it? Either Mousetrap or... Oh no, it was that Dead Simple play that we went to see.
Yeah.
And I'm always interested to see what you think of theatre, because you do... If there's any bullshit in it, that's the first that you just go... Like, I remember that play we went, he was like, oh, that guy, he was definitely trying to act, wasn't he? And I was like, if there is any point where there is a bit of bullshit, he's going to pick it out. And to my surprise, well, not to my surprise, because I know it was a very, very good show, but I was pleasantly surprised that you didn't go, oh, that door didn't have any glass in it, which is what I was expecting, to be honest. But there we go.
it was really good. The only thing that was weird for me was, other than finally leaving the house for the first time in 2 years, it's just like agoraphobia. No, the only thing that was weird was when you walked on stage, because I was so thoroughly absorbed into the play at that point. You walked on stage and went, oh, it's Ryan. Even though that's why I was there. But do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, it's Ryan.
I thought you were going to say is when he walked on stage, because I thought, what the fuck is he doing there? He doesn't fit.
Why is he dressed as a policeman? What's going on? No, it's very good. I would say I recommend people go watch it, but the run is done now.
The run is done. However, you can see me in December in Abigail's Party. I will be returning to the stage.
I don't know what's Abigail's Party.
So it's an old Mike Leigh play. So for fans of 70s television, will remember the play for today.
I'm a fan of 70s wallpaper. Does that count?
Well, there will be 70s wallpaper in
and
there.
70s and stereo systems.
Some of them,
which I have spent recently recapping my speakers with new capacitors. Turns out I can't solder for toffee, but what I lack in skill, I make up for in determination. I just kept going, recapping these 1970s crossovers and my Kef too.
So Abigail's Party is the play for you.
Yeah, I could be there. I'll get some a fishnet tie and some lapels. Lapels is not what I'm thinking of, is it? This microphone's great, isn't it? I feel like Tom Jones. Whoa, whoa, whoa! What's new, pussycat? Whoa! There's a little bit I've got a miniature Ben Stiller here, though, as well.
True. I feel like I'm a newsreader.
Really?
Yeah.
Or it's like a modern version of a 1970s game show host. Let's see what you could have won.
It reminds me of, that cover of Wonderwall. That was like a 70s kind of crooner.
Oh, Mike Flowers Pop.
Yeah. The way his mic is like, today is gonna be the day, or something like that. So, we should probably get on to the topic of the episode, because any listeners we did have are probably gone, what the fuck are they talking about?
Who's this bloke?
Now, who's that?
Where's Simon gone? I don't like him. Bring back Simon. Who was also at your play.
He was.
Good old chap.
He was.
Lovely bloke. It is weird, though. It was weird. I did continue listening to the podcast for a while. Yeah, it was weird. I couldn't make it for a whole episode because it's like bumping into your ex-girlfriend with her new boyfriend. I was like, oh, that was funny. Yeah, that was good.
Oh, no wonder she's with him.
Yeah. Bumping into
He's got a brand new car.
Bumping into your ex-girlfriend in her new boyfriend's Marine or something. And the SAS. Oh, yeah, very funny, Simon. Yes.
Yes, brilliant point you've raised about that film that I love. But it is obviously very, very good to have you back. And obviously we're doing a slightly different type of episode. So anybody who remembers the solo episodes, that very dark time in our podcast.
When I had abandoned you.
Well, you abandoned me, and I was wading through shit, going, "What are we going to do?" So
remember that piece to, I was going to say piece to camera, that piece to mic that I recorded for you. What was it about? I can't remember now. It was something
that
about,
was sequels.
was it about sequels?
Yeah,
The
sequels that we wanted, but sequels we never got.
Yeah.
So it's a similar type of episode, and we're calling these, and probably the next few episodes that we do together, 10 of the best. And what we mean by that is 10 great examples of our chosen theme. And today's chosen theme is practical effects. Obviously, probably in every episode we've ever done, we've somehow got onto the subject of CGI versus practical effects. It's a bit of a cliche for us. So we thought we'd start with 10 examples of great practical effects and why they're better than CGI.
These are not the 10 I would have chosen.
And just like that, we're back into
into the swing.
We're back into old habits.
When I was driving over here, I was like, God, I don't even remember if I can remember how. I don't even think I know how to remember how to do this. No, do you know what I mean?
Well, I said last night, I'm a bit nervous about tomorrow. What if we just suddenly forget how to talk to each other about
the moment
films?
you put a microphone in
Yeah,
front.
we'd be like, okay, so Jim's back. Yeah.
I was literally driving over here going, the CGI to my CGY, the stuntman to my cunt. No.
Well,
I was like, I'll just leave it to Ryan. I just let Ryan do it.
Well, as you kind of succinctly put, these aren't the 10 you would have chosen.
No, a couple of them for sure. It was interesting though, because it then made me compile a list. So we'll get back together. We'll do another 10 of these at some point. Because like you're saying, this isn't the 10 best. These are just 10 of the best. 10
great examples. Yeah. And obviously I've come up with this particular list. And I think I've tried to get a mixture of different types. Because in all honesty, when we first started talking about this, and we said practical effects, my kind of understanding of practical effects was I immediately go to things like horror movies. And
horror movie is the benchmark, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the gold standard. Horror movies will be what pushes, or has in the past pushed, practical effects to their greatness.
But actually, the term is a lot broader than I initially thought. So I thought I'd just Google a quick definition. So it's basically tangible real-world techniques performed physically on set and captured by the camera without computer-generated imagery, CGI, which is obviously quite a vague, big spectrum of things that we can talk about. And so these 10 are just a nice range of different types from different eras, without it getting to the point of it just being 10 horror movies that probably
Alien 1, Alien 2, Alien 3,
Nightmare on Elm Street 1, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, etc., etc. Yeah. So I've tried to get a bit of a range in here so it's not boring for the listener and not boring.
No, but notice Nightmare on Elm Street isn't on this list.
It isn't it? Didn't say it's...
Now you mention it. Where's Freddy?
Fuck you. So kicking us off with perhaps one of the greatest directors to use practical effects is David Cronenberg's Scanners. No. Now, David Cronenberg, obviously, another reason for picking some of the examples is because some of the examples we may have already spoken about in our previous episodes. So David Cronenberg, obviously very well known for films like The Fly.
Also not in this list. It's on my list.
Because we've already spoken about The Fly. We don't want to just repeat and rehash exactly what we've spoken about for our listeners. Fucking trying here. But
no, Cronenberg, king of the body horror, for sure.
Exactly.
Uses a lot of the same special effects guy. I think I'm right in saying it might not be the person who's responsible for this scene we're about to see, but he worked on the team for this. He then went on to work on, I think he did the Raiders of the Lost Ark, Melty Face, and I think he did The Fly. I forget the dude's name, so I apologize for that. But yeah, I think it's the same bloke, but not the head FX guy on this project.
So it's that classic scene from Scanners, which is about 13 minutes into the film, where we see the actors, Michael Ironside and Louis Del Grande, and they're at a lecture hall. They're sitting there, and all of a sudden, Michael Ironside's character starts scanning in the context of the film, and then we get to that amazing shot, which
Michael Ironside he's just one of those actors. He's got great face. Do you know what I mean?
Great face and a great
presence.
voice.
Oh, his voice is amazing. Yeah.
You hear Michael Ironside and you immediately go, "Oh, that's Michael Ironside."
Yeah, he's such a good actor. I was going to say character actor. He basically plays the same things. He's not really a character actor, but he's one of those I guess not background artists, but one of those extras. Those also ran actors that make movies.
He's the kind of actor who, when you put a film on, he's not going to be top billing, but you'll get to a point and he'll pop up and you go, "Oh, great! Yeah. It's got Michael Ironside in it." So, in that scene, obviously, there's a lot of dodgy pause it kind of faces, where you're kind of questioning what is going on here. And again,
we've got it playing now. I've never watched it with the sound off before, and now you mention it, this looks very odd.
It makes you wonder what the hell is going on.
Where's
underneath
that hamster gone?
What's going on underneath that table?
It's so good though. Often lampooned, referenced so often since as well. It's referenced in so much stuff from comedies to other horror movies,
and for good reason, because it is, it's such a great use of practical effects. And when it happens, it is a bit of, in the context of the film, it's a massive shock. You're not really expecting it to, to quite go that way. Obviously, nowadays, if you put scanners on, you're probably expecting it because that's why you brought the ticket or that's why you brought the film. But generally speaking, at the time, if you watch that, you're going to go, what's going to happen here? And then all of a sudden, bang! It,
I think the
whole head explodes, and it explodes beautifully to the point where you go, "That's amazing!
Yeah.
Can I rewind and watch that again?" Because it is one of the, as soon as we started speaking about practical effects and putting together a list of sorts, this was the one that was going to be in there for me.
For
anyway.
Sure, yeah. I think the first time I heard of it was Wayne's World. They mention it. Garth's like doing a piece of camera and he freezes. One of the people in the booth says, "Remember that scene from Scanners where the dude's head explodes?" And at the time I didn't know what he's talking about, but then like as you get a little bit older, you come across it, you go, "Oh right, I understand it now." And it
makes total sense.
Yeah, it is. It's just the stuff of legend. Everybody, I'd be surprised. I don't know actually. Everyone of my generation knows this scene. I don't know how well it's traveled.
I think, to be fair, Scanners of people of my generation is kind of a forgotten one. People either they may have seen the cover, they may, they've probably definitely heard of Cronenberg, but what with it being one of his earlier works before The Fly, before his bigger budget films, probably not one people have actually sat down and watched for people of my generation, unless they're into that genre.
So what year it was? I think it's
1981. 1981.
So it is in that weird crossover period, because everything looks very 70s. So it's in that weird crossover period between
people haven't let the 70s go.
Yeah, they say most decades don't start till halfway through the next decade, do they? And all that sort of stuff.
So would you like to know how they achieve this? If you don't already?
I actually do know.
Okay, so
inform the listeners, though, right?
So essentially, they created a latex cast of actor Louis Del Grant's head and put a plaster support inside it so that it wouldn't just kind of like sag and just keel over mid scene. And initially they tried it with wax, but obviously a little bit like that's, when they explain in the Terminator, the very first Terminators were made out of whatever they mentioned. And you could tell in this instance, you would have been able to tell it was a wax head or, a fake head. And then they decided to fill up the head with a mixture of different things, ranging from liver, classic, just what you want to put inside a head. Dog food.
It's got that dark red, purplish kind of grainy look, hasn't it?
Leftover food, so things like burgers and stuff like that, and obviously quite a lot of red syrup or cornstarch type thing to get that, that blood red kind of look. So initially, how they were going to try to do this is they initially looked at doing it with pyrotechnics. So Alan Partridge fans will hear that in a South African accent, pyrotechnics. But the problem was when they filmed that, you could see there was an explosion. You could see the sparks. So they were like, that's not going to work. Then they decided to try it with air pressure, but that unfortunately created a balloon-like effect to the point where
his head swelled up.
Which would have looked pretty cool, I think, but in a completely different way.
I think it would have looked a bit ropey, right?
Yeah. Probably wouldn't be talking about it, 44 years later. But eventually, the guy who kind of was heading up the operation went, I've had enough of this. And essentially, they put the cast, they got it ready to shoot. He laid down behind the cast, and at the appropriate moment, got a pump action shotgun and just pulled the trigger.
It's a pump action shotgun full of rock salt.
Rock salt.
Rock salt, yeah.
See,
I've seen him talk about it.
Teaching me about stuff.
Yeah, he said, I highly recommend if you ever have to blow up someone's head, use rock salt. Apparently, he made everybody else leave the room for safety reasons. Yeah, and as you say, he laid down behind him, just shot him with a shotgun full of salt. Yeah, and that's how you get that amazing.
And I think there's
effect.
Probably an element of where he's like, to be honest, I've had enough of this. I'm not about creating the shot. I just don't want to look at that fucking head no more. So that's how it was created. And on the whole subject, the reason we're talking about this later is because it looks great, and because if you're looking for the holes or looking for the seams, you can see that potentially, that head doesn't quite look as lifelike as it did in
That's
that
the thing,
previous
yeah.
shot.
I mean, we always talk, don't we, how practical effects age better, but obviously they do get old and ropey looking. But it's old and ropey in a completely different way to CGI. CGI just looks fake. It's that uncanny valley thing, isn't it? Whereas with practical effects, all right, it might start looking a bit rubbery or whatever it is, a little bit, like you say, not quite as realistic and all that, but it's something about it, I think, because it's real in the room at the time, it still holds up. So as we go through this list, there'll be a lot of, it's a rubber puppet kind of stuff, but you have to look at where Star Wars is heading now. Star Wars sort of piling up. George Lucas spearheaded essentially turning everything into CGI. And then, like, if you look at Phantom Menace, within a few years, it looked dated, which is often the case with CGI. But you look at where Star Wars is heading now, they're sort of returning back to puppets and more practical effects mixed in with CGI and stuff. And I think that's kind of the future. That's where it's at. You get that nice balance, And
I like the idea of, if you strip away all of the, the glitz and glamour and all of the, the camera trickery, for lack of a better term, you're still going to have actors in the room with whatever that practical effect is. So they're still interacting with that thing. It's no longer, it's no longer doing that on a wide scale basis. It's usually, right, here's a green screen, here's your actor, and, the famous one is Lord of the Rings, where you shall not pass, and he's doing it essentially to a tennis ball on the end of a massitive pole.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing.
You see the behind the scenes footage, and it looks ridiculous because it is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's that's the interesting thing, though, isn't it? Because I was looking at when I was putting a list of stuff together for next time we revisit this. I was looking at the Harryhausen stuff, which is all the sort of claymation stuff from Clash of the Titans and all of those. And that is very much done the same way. Even then, back in the 60s, you had the actors acting to tennis balls on sticks and stuff. And then later put in the claymation stuff. No, there's no way you can say, that doesn't look a bit ropey. But there's just something about it. Like, you watch the Jason and Argonauts with the famous skeleton scenes where they come out and they're fighting. And you go, that was 1962, I think. And it still looks charming and tangible, even though it does look like plasticine.
And I think as well, there's probably, or certainly when I watch films anyway, there's an appreciation for, it might look a bit ropey, it might not look quite as good as it did back when the film was released, but I can appreciate the artistry that's gone into doing that. Whereas nowadays, and I'm not saying that there isn't a skill involved with CGI, because there obviously is, but how many people can create a similar effect on their bloody phone now? True. Especially with the the dreaded AI and all of this shit, people can create great effects in their pocket, and so it kind of makes all of the stuff you see in things like The Phantom Menace or The Lord of the Rings or all of those early 2000s CGI or late 90s CGI, and you kind of go, well, that looks ropey, but I can't see the art form. I can't see the work that's gone into that.
Yeah, I think Lord of the Rings is slightly different because Jackson used models and CGI, but you are right because when the CGI comes up like Gollum, which looked outstanding 20 years ago, and you look at it now and it looks like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, you know what I mean? And it's so weird as an audience you become more sophisticated to these things or whatever it is, and as the technology gets better. But I feel like, and we've spoken about this a lot, the problem I have with CGI is because you know it's done on a computer, it kind of devalues it in some way. It doesn't make it rubbish because it's still like, oh, that looks good, but it doesn't. I don't feel as invested. I'm not as drawn in. I'm not looking at it going, how did they do that? And I think a lot of the magic with practical effects, even though they may become ropey, is you still look at them going, how did they do that? Which is the whole essence of this episode where you're like, do you know how they did that? I said, well, actually, yeah, I do it. And it's rock salt and a shotgun. And that's much more interesting than he did it with a mouse and a left click, you know?
Yeah, and it's the thing of, you know, it's like a magic trick where, you know, they say once you know how a magic trick is done, it loses its magic. But what I like about those things is now that I know how it's done, I can see the artistry that's gone into it. I can see how well they've done it because ultimately, up until you perhaps wouldn't guess, or you can't see through the cracks or anything like that. So I think it's a running theme probably throughout this episode is let's bring back some practical effects, please, because they're absolutely genius in some cases.
Like trying to work it out and then finding out how something's done doesn't spoil it.
No.
You know what I mean?
Like,
and
now
they did that on a computer, it means you don't even have to ask the question. You don't have to ponder. And the answer is really not interesting. Whereas he shot his head off with a shotgun full of rock is an interesting answer.
Yeah,
isn't it?
On set, imagine the discussions and, you know, the general vibe in the room when this is about to happen. Oh, don't go in there. He's about to shoot the head with a shotgun. You're like, oh, cool. Can I watch it through a window or something?
And it's that old expression, isn't it, where necessity is the mother of all invention. How do we do this? We'll work it out.
Yeah, we've got to find a way.
Such a good way.
Let's just do it.
That's movie magic right there.
That's movie magic.
It's movie magic.
Oh, great.
Please turn off your phone. It's not too late for a Coke.
It's turned into those late night commercials where they sell all the compilations of CDs. You've heard this music, but not like this before.
Well, we have got the Tom Jones mics. So
we have got the Tom Jones mics. So moving on to the next example, and it's kind of probably about as far away from early 80s body
exploding
horror,
heads
as you can get, and it's The Dark Knight Rises, and it's the opening scene, and it's the plane hijack scene. Now, as anybody who's listened to this podcast will know, I'm a massive Chris Nolan fan, and this kind of feeds into one of the reasons why, is because pretty much everything you see on screen with a Christopher Nolan film happened in some form on camera.
Yeah, he's a big fan of doing it on camera, isn't he?
And obviously probably to the safety guy's detriment, because he's thinking, right, I'm working on a Chris Nolan film, I'm going to be a busy boy. And The Dark Knight Rises is perhaps one of the best examples of this, because you're looking for a big opening to a long-awaited sequel to one of the best action movies ever
following
made.
Up the Dark Knight,
and you've got to start hot. You've got to start in a way where you capture everybody's attention,
and everybody's going, Bane, the wrestler dude, And, although I must say I don't really like this Blu-ray version. It looks too clean and crisp, but I always find with like this sort of stuff, sometimes it makes it look cheap. I like that film sheen that you get on a film, that slightly gritty look that this has been all cleaned off. But it's such a good scene.
And perhaps she's wondering why you would shoot the man before throwing him out of a plane.
If I take it off, will it hurt you? It would be extremely painful for you.
Yes, the fire rises.
You were merely adopted to dark.
And yeah, I mean, such a good movie, such a good opening scene. But he does, I mean, with the opening scene of The Dark Knight, he has the whole, I was going to say paraglide, it's not paraglide, zip wiring down into the bank and all of that sort of stuff. He's like you say, he's a big fan of doing it in shot if he can. Wants to capture it there. And this scene, as you say, where they split the plane in half and start flying about, is superb. Clearly Scotland.
Yeah, it's not doubling for anywhere else, is it?
That is so Scotland.
It's a little bit like in the film Doomsday, where they filmed it in Spain and said, this is dystopian Scotland. It's fucking not, though, is it?
If that's what Scotland looked like, we'd all be living there.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, there isn't any kind of, I suppose, camera trickery. Well, there is a little bit of camera trickery in how it's shot, but there isn't any, big kind of reveal here. Essentially, what you see on screen is what happened. And I think that makes it even more impressive, is that there isn't any, there isn't any kind of, okay, well, now we've shot to a miniature, which is another great way of doing stuff. But everything
Gotta love a miniature.
Everything you see on screen actually happens. So when they abseil down from one plane to the lower plane, they actually done that. When they split the plane in two and they start, basically dragging it along, they done that as well. Yeah. Everything you see on screen here is exactly what happened, and obviously there's a lot more that goes into it than what we see. I think
there's a little bit of CGI here with the wings falling off. I don't think that's real. Is that real?
Everything.
Are you sure that's 100% real?
Everything happened
because when they blow up in the Dark Knight, when he blows up the hospital, a lot of the explosions were and the windows popping out with CGI. Even though they did also blow up those windows, so that was 100%. Those 100%, wings popping off. Wow.
Yeah, so that obviously it's like a controlled demolition where,
of course,
they've rigged it at the right time in the right way so that it falls in the
right place.
And that's what I mean about
on some sheep in the field in Scotland.
Yeah, and I think as well that because it's filmed with that green backdrop and it's not just over the ocean. Or
when you say green backdrop, you mean the fields, not
the fields.
Yeah. But just to be clear,
just to be clear, it's not green screen. It's not green screen. I promise. Yeah, because it's filmed with that luscious green landscape of the Scottish Highlands, means it's a lot more. It feels a lot more real because you can see, real things in the background that isn't just big open vast space of just blue sea and whatnot.
Yeah.
And obviously I think it's interesting because you could have used lots and lots of different examples from Nolan's films. One of the
look at that shot.
The shot as they hold on to that rappel rope and then the plane drops out is
superb.
I mean,
superb.
It's just
literally the camera holds with them and the plane drops from underneath them. They don't come up out of the plane.
It's like the exact.
And it's shot so well.
It's like the exact opposite of what they used to do with the old parachute shots, where everybody thinks, or a lot of people think, from the movies, when you pull the parachute, what ends up happening is you go up, but it's not. It's just where the cameraman is continuing to fall.
He's at a different speed,
but he's
a bit heavier with that camera.
Shit, I haven't taken this into account with my parachute. And I'm falling to my death.
Just going to drop the camera.
But it's all right because I got the shot.
Save the film.
That shot is kind of like the opposite of that, where you stay with the people, but the plane drops, and you could have achieved that on a much cheaper scale than what it cost to do that scene. You could have chosen the football stadium scene where the ground just kind of, falls apart. You could have chosen that, even down to, which I was quite surprised at, the Oppenheimer. I don't know if you've seen Oppenheimer.
I have not. But it came out in the last 2 years, right?
Of course you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen Barbie either.
But a lot of the kind of effects that they created when the atomic bomb was being detonated were created with incredibly high zoomed cameras and basically chemical and physics.
Like mini hydrogen sort of.
Essentially, yeah, they done it all in a lab with a black screen and a really, really zoomed in, highly detailed camera.
Fascinating.
And it's like,
so they're just making little
little explosions and things like that. You could create that in half the time, probably 3/4 of the budget, and for most people that would be fine. But the fact that they haven't done that and they go to those extra lengths just means that
How does Nolan get around this sort of ethos with a film like Interstellar?
I think a lot of the time that was similar sort of thing where
did as much of it as he could.
As much as he could. I think Interstellar is one where there probably is a little bit more CGI.
I mean, they'd have to be, right?
But I think a lot was still done with, proper
practical effects.
Proper, footage from space or zoomed in, similar to the chemical and physical effects. Same thing there. So, and Nolan, as I say, Nolan is probably the pinnacle of using practical effects. The one I like as well is from Inception, where there's that scene where the whole street essentially explodes around DiCaprio and Elliot Page. The way they done that was with compressed air, and they literally blew up at this Parisian street, and to the point where the people were like, "We didn't quite think you were going to do that. Is it okay if you don't come back next time?" So
and famously, in The Dark Knight, he actually flips that truck.
Yeah, like
the lorry that he flips in the Joker.
And there's so many examples that we could have chosen from Nolan, but the reason I think I chose this one is because Nolan kind of holds this up as that's what he's most proud of in terms of those practical effects.
It is amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
It's
like, I think we've spoken about this before. It's like when Tarantino did Death Proof, he was like, said all of the stunts in this, all the car stunts and everything, are real. Like the leading lady was a stunt person in real life. But I remember when he did it, it was kind of like, oh, that's novel. And you watch it and you go, I really appreciate the fact that this is actually happening on screen. It's so good to watch a car, because it's not Fast and Furious jumping over the Statue of Liberty kind of craziness.
And 17 minutes worth of gear changes.
Yeah, exactly. And there's something that the tension is higher, at least for me when I watch it, when you see a car doing what a car can do and no more, but right on its limits of what it can do, and you go, because everyone's been in a car, but you go, sitting next to someone and they're driving too fast, or something happens, a deer runs out in front of you, whatever it is, everyone knows that feeling of panic when you're in a car and something goes wrong. So there's that element of, it's that, as we keep saying, it's that grounding in reality that really sells these sort of things.
And I think for the vast majority of practical effects, the limits of what the average movie fan will know about how these things are achieved are a lot more kind of relatable than with CGI. So I can watch a piece of CGI and not really know, well, is that like mid-range CGI? I can know if it looks shit or if it looks great or if whatever, but is that the top of the range CGI? Is that crap CGI?
It's funny though, isn't it? Because they're all into this de-aging thing at the moment, and it always looks awful. I mean, I'm sure it's been done well.
There's a literal shine to people's faces.
Yeah, it's so weird.
As if they've like decided to stick their head into a fat of grease.
Yeah, it's really weird, because you watch, like, funny enough, like I say, Star Wars going edging. Maybe it's just the TV shows that are edging more back to more puppets and stuff. I know it's been in a few of the films as well, but they also had not Christopher Lee, the other one, who was
Peter Cushing. Star Wars.
Peter Cushing, thank you. Yeah, Whoopi Cushing's husband.
That's proper tickled me.
What was I saying? Yeah, no, they brought him back to life, and fair enough. If that was in like a computer game, you'd be like, oh, that's really good. In the middle of a film, you're just like, new, right? Then, or the new Indiana Jones, or the last Indiana Jones film. It's actually not bad. The de-aging in that isn't bad, but it's still. I'm like, part of me's like, I don't need this de-aging thing you're doing. I don't like it. It's
a lot easier for CGI to just completely take you out of a film.
Totally.
Because it's immediately jarring a lot of the time, because suddenly the shine to something stands out because it hasn't got, the light isn't bouncing off it in the same way that everything else in the scene is bouncing off of stuff. So
and they have got better at that. I was thinking about this morning. I was like, well, I've got a list of practical effects. I was like, we should do either a list of the best CGI or CGI through the ages, maybe. And we'll do a little short 10 of the best of those sort of things.
Absolutely.
But it will be a lot of, God, this was good when it came out. Looks a bit shit now.
So moving on to probably the first summer blockbuster,
The greatest film ever made.
I'd certainly hold it up. And
I don't really do favorites. This is my favorite band. This is my favorite film. If push came to shove, Jaws, if it's not my favorite film, is definitely up there.
Yeah.
There's something about this film I love. The actors, the characters, the story, the rubber shark, everything.
Yeah, it's an absolute classic, and probably in terms of, monster movie, for lack of a better term, is about as close to perfection as you're going to get.
So good.
I recently watched a film, Orca,
right,
which I think is
it's around the same time, isn't it?
Similar sort of thing.
I saw
Orca
it
was
many years.
78, 77. So it's an enjoyable film, but don't watch that just after you've watched Jaws, because you'll see why it's not Jaws. Because, Jaws...
You'll see everything that's wrong with it.
Exactly.
But even this clip we're about to watch now, described as Quintus Devoured, 26 million views just for this scene of a rubber shark eating a drunk.
And it's crazy because I've never known a film with a particular genre still be, 50 years later, still be the best of its genre, still be the one that every other film that's come after it has tried to replicate,
tried to emulate it,
and tried to do, and not do as well. It's surprising to me, and it's got probably now to a point where you're like, just don't do a shark movie.
Yeah.
Because...
that was the thing when CGI first came out, they did Deep Blue Sea, and everyone was like bigging it up. And it's a good, enjoyable monster movie. You know me, I love cheesy, rubbishy monster movies anyway. But I remember at the time saying Jaws is a better movie, and people saying, nah, rubbery sharks, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, the sharks in this look cool, but it's not Jaws. And then within a few years, those sharks start looking ropey, and people come back round to Jaws. Do you know what I mean?
And even the away from the practical effects side of things, the artistry and the craft of filmmaking, this kind of set the rules for monster movies, where the first hour of the film, you're not going to see the thing that's creeping up on everything.
Very Hitchcocky, and
and that a lot of the time in this particular film was through necessity, because
the shark's not working.
The shark wasn't working, or they couldn't shoot the shark in the way that they initially wanted to when it was first being put together as a film, because we only have this side of the shark, so we can't show a full shark coming out of the water. We have to shoot it from this side. And without those kind of things, if we'd have seen the shark in the first 5 minutes like the initial screenplay had planned,
where do you go from there?
Exactly. The mystery has gone. And
well, that's the genius of Spielberg, isn't it? He learnt from the best. So no one thought, will this shark work in salty water? So they put it in salty water, and it didn't. So endless problems. The shark is sinking, and all that sort of stuff. But being a master filmmaker and knowing his chops, knowing his onions, what would Hitchcock do? It's suspense. So it becomes a suspense movie as much as a monster movie at that point. And then when you do see the shark, I think it looks good. It does look like a rubbery puppet, but it's so like as a kid when I saw it, I wasn't going rubbery puppet. I was just like, look at the size of that.
I'll be honest with you. I think that the rubbery effect of it just about works because it kind of mimics the skin of a shark.
Yeah.
I've never been in water or in the same...
I've never been in water. I've seen pictures of it. The real thing.
The reason I phrased it like that is because I was about to say I've never been in the same room as a shark. But I've never
been in the same water as a shark. That's probably not true. Water is all connected, technically.
I've never been close enough to a shark to properly, have a look at its skin. But if I was going to imagine what it would look like, it wouldn't look too dissimilar from what we see. I think for me, the only probably criticisms, if we're going to go down criticisms of the rubber shark, is more the movement. The movement for me is what gives it away. It's a little bit jittery in places. Not all the time.
It's doing that sideways thing that is clearly on pulleys.
Clearly two guys, two massive guys going, right? To me, to you, to me. Probably
it's funny though, you talk about it looking more realistic, like the skin being more realistic. Like famously the arm on the beach scene. Have we spoken about this before? It's been 2 years, so I guess we could bring it up again.
We have, but maybe not on camera.
There's
on record.
On camera. Yeah, there's a severed arm at the beginning of the movie on the beach, wrapped up in I think seaweed or a fishing net, I forget. And it looks really like a mannequin arm. And Spielberg was really disappointed with it when it turned up. So I think that's why it's then covered in seaweed and detritus or whatever. But apparently, many people told Spielberg afterwards, no, that's what it would look like. That's what a severed arm looks like. It does look waxy. It does look like a mannequin. It's kind of blue. It wouldn't look like a real arm. So was that accidental, or maybe the prop guys were like, shut up, Steve. That's spot on, mate. You know what I mean?
I've spent 6 weeks working on that.
Do you know how many arms I severed before But again, talking of the practical effects in this movie,
I've also got the image of a one-armed man who lost his.
What would you know about it, Steve?
That's exactly how my arm looks.
That is my arm.
Have a look at this picture.
I grew the nails up, put some nail varnish on it, and chopped it off for you. And you're complaining, Steve. Why are you complaining?
Fuck off and make another Alien.
Yes, but talking of, again, the use of practical effects, the necessity and the mother invention and all of that in this film in particular, because the shark is some unbelievably large size shark that doesn't actually exist. In the scenes when they go into the cage going, Matt, you go in cage go in water, shark in water, our shark, you know that bit? It's a dwarf in a cage next to real sharks to make the sharks look bigger.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And that, mate.
It's fucking in a tiny cage. They made a small cage with a small person in it. Sorry, so it's not dwarf, it's a little person, I should say. And dangled him into the water with some real sharks to say good luck with that. And the bit where the shark gets caught up in the cage and starts thrashing about obviously was a complete accident because you can't train the shark to do things on cue, but was so good they left it in.
With the right type of bait.
Yeah. So just that necessity. How do we make the shark look bigger?
Yeah,
we'll put a small person in a cage.
And the scene in question, which is perhaps probably the pinnacle of demonstrating the use of practical effects, is when it does devour Quint.
Definitely.
And
I was very sad. I'm still sad every time it happens in the movie as well.
He's just, for a character who we're kind of told at every point we shouldn't like this character. He's a drunk captain who,
he's a poacher.
Isn't a guy you probably want to be mixing with.
His people skills are somewhat lacking.
Sounds like right up your street to me.
I do love his sarcasm. He's great. Yeah, in another life, that's me right there.
Exactly.
I try to model my life on Quint.
Every time you've gone fly fishing, you're like,
I imagine,
put some straps on.
Exactly. I used to go fishing and I did catch a dogfish, which is technically a shark.
Yeah.
And I was wearing army camos at the time and I felt at home. I like to imagine Quint, if he was alive now, would be wearing socks and Crocs. You know what I mean? I think he's that kind of guy.
Wears it for comfort, not for style.
Doesn't care what you think, because
exactly.
He's Quint.
But
someone wrote a sequel to George to George the Shark. Someone wrote a sequel. I forget what it's called. It's called Quint. Sorry, yeah. And
Didn't you say that was awful?
My brother bought it for me, and I couldn't get past the first chapter. It was like fan fiction. No offense if you're listening to it.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, this is just weird. And like, I think the first chapter, there's like a sex scene with Quint, and I'm like, I don't want to think about that. I don't want to. Can he just go hunt some sharks?
Which leads you to believe that, because often if you're going to write something, you kind of start with the thing that you think most people want to see. So somebody obviously watched Jaws and went, that's a guy who needs to be in a sex scene.
I want to see the moon bouncing off his bare buttocks.
I want to know what happens in between the sheets with this guy.
Chesting dynamite.
But you know, just the thing that I love about that scene is the way that obviously he's thrashed about. You see, you know, the blood.
Yeah, you did want it, yeah.
With poor use of words there. You know, the blood comes from his mouth as, you know, his final moments are. And then the way the shark just kind of retreats back into the water and you just slowly see him just kind of disappear into the water. And it's so understated. Like, you'd expect some...
Yeah, well, it goes from really visceral and violent
to very
just calm and slow.
Absolutely.
And it drags him off to the deep. It's like a metaphor, isn't it? It drags him down to the dark deep.
Absolute masterful filmmaking, and it's got to be on the list. It was, again, another one
Definitely.
I thought of where I was like, it's got to be on the list. But
and talking of ones that had to be on this list, this next one is definitely one of those.
We are moving on to 1979's Alien, obviously directed by Ridley Scott. And obviously, when you say Alien, the film or the scene that everybody will be thinking about is the classic chest burst scene.
Yep.
And it is, I think, a lot of the time as well.
This is the stuff of legends, this scene, right? There's so many things about this that I've heard that I don't know if they're true.
I think sometimes, obviously, practical effects can be very, very powerful just on their own with what you see on screen. But I think the beauty of why this is held in such high regard is because we're not expecting what we see.
Yeah.
You know, it's
a bit like that Scanners in that respect. You think it's going to go one way, and then it goes, yeah, but this scene is the scene that got the film greenlit in the first place. This is what got it made, wasn't it? It was this scene.
And you can totally see that because it is just everything you kind of want from a sci-fi alien movie. You want to see that, you know, that body horror-esque, you know, death scenes. You want to see, you know, violence. You want to see weird creatures in an alien film.
Yeah, weird aliens.
And obviously perfectly acted by the cast, and in particularly John Hurt.
Yeah, I think if I'm remembering it correctly, as it goes, it was considered quite a schlocky, you know, it's just another alien movie. And whoever it was who ended up making it I'm sure they were talking to him, oh, did you get to page whatever it was, read that bit? And it was this scene. And he went, oh, right, yeah, we're making this movie sort of thing. But I mean, look at that. Sploosh. It's not as gory as I remember it, as gross as it is still. I remember it being like, maybe I think I've seen too many jokey versions of it, so I remember it slightly backwards, but it's so good. But you got to give a nod to the face hugger as well.
Yeah.
Such good practical effects.
You know, there's a reason why in alien films we're still looking at face huggers. They're still used because it's such a...
I mean, as a villain, quote unquote, the face hugger is such a claustrophobic thought.
There's such a vulnerability about this creature just completely violating you in that way is.
And the different ways they animate them, like from gloves, people's hands in a glove, to strings, to animatronics. You know,
essentially being a little bit like a balloon where air
they
is
pull it backwards and stuff like that, and reverse the film so it makes it look like it's jumping onto. It's almost like it's got about like 5 or 6 different special effects for one creature. It's so good.
And and again, back to the art form of it's puppetry. It's making things that shouldn't move in a way that look lifelike.
Yeah,
shouldn't be able to be done, and yet people have the skill in order to do that.
Yeah, and you get to the second you put them in the hands of a master director like Cameron, and he turns it all up to 10.
Exactly. And the chest burst scene is.
Could you imagine an alien film without a chest bursting scene? Do you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't work. You're waiting for it. You're waiting for the face hugger, the chest bursting scene, and at some point someone's going to get acidic blood on them.
Yeah, it's kind of it's those things of going, right, we're going to make a film, right, where's that scene, where's this scene, where's that scene? That's the skeleton for the the structure of the film.
Vehicle. Yeah.
But this chest
what I really
burster
like
scene,
about the Aliens movies is like how they change the xenomorph in every film, but it makes sense because it's inhabiting its host's DNA, so it's slightly different and stuff like that. Whereas when they randomly keep changing what the Predator looks like, then it makes no sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people will say about the latter Alien films and whether or not they're effective or they work, but I'm always intrigued. I'm always intrigued. I'm always putting them on and going, well, that's something we've not seen
the
before.
TV series yet?
I haven't yet.
I watched the first episode and went, oh, this looks all right. But again, I have the attention span of a 2-year-old these days, you know what I mean?
I like to do that thing of going, oh, it's because they only put a couple of episodes up.
Yeah.
And then
I'll wait till I can binge.
I'll wait until I can binge the whole lot. But this chest burster scene, and I think the reason I love this scene so much, obviously, is because it's part of a great film. It's shocking. It's incredibly violent. It's incredibly visceral. I think the moments that are the most powerful is when the blood splurts on everybody else.
Yeah,
that's where you go, oh fuck, that's fucked up. But would you like to know how they achieve this if you don't already know?
I would like to hear.
So essentially, it's shot in 2 distinct sections. So the first section where we see, the initial, something doesn't feel right, I've got a bit of a stomach ache, that type of thing from John Hurt, up until we...
I wish that was... Oh, I've got a bit of a stomach ache. Something I've eaten.
It must have been one of them dodgy pork balls. That's what it was. So up until the point where we see the blood splurt onto his t-shirt, that is all... That's just done with a couple of squibs and some compressed air. Then, when we actually get to the point where we want to see, or we're going to see the alien burst out of his chest, is kind of done where we see John Hurt's actual head, shoulders, and arms. He's then kind of almost kneeling in this table that they've cut out a section. They've then put this fake body.
John Hurt.
John Hurt too.
Fake John Hurt.
Second
only his
John.
torso and his legs.
Headless John Hurt they've put on top of this table, and then essentially they've got the puppet of the alien, and they push it through the hole. And interestingly, the thing that I love about this even more is when it first bursts through, we don't see it. We see something that's pushing through
onto his t-shirt.
That wasn't supposed to happen. It was supposed to go all the way through, and they just didn't think about the fact that the fabric of the t-shirt would just kind of go with it. Yeah. So they kept it in, which I love those things where it's like that wasn't supposed to happen.
It actually makes it better.
Yeah, because you're going, what the fuck is that? Yeah. It's that slow
Something's
reveal.
come out, but I can't see it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's that sort of going.
I was saying like this is the stuff of legends. This scene, because the rumor that I had always heard was Ridley Scott didn't tell any of the other actors what was going to happen.
I think
I also heard they sued him, but I'm pretty sure that's not true.
I don't think they sued.
Yeah, for emotional distress.
I
don't think people had emotional distress in the 70s.
I'll be totally honest with you as well. If that was the case and they did sue him, I'd be like, you're kind of part of movie history now. And you're going, I'm suing him because
I can't name any of you, but I know who you are.
Other than Sigourney Weaver, who the fuck...
and Bilbo.
Bilbo? Oh, yeah, and Yaphet.
And John Hurt. Okay, I can't name a few of the people. I didn't think this through, Ryan.
But yeah, I think it's, those elements where it doesn't quite go to plan, but it adds an effect that nobody was planning for. And therefore it's left in, is immediately makes it one of these things where it's 10 times better for that.
Also, it's one of those things you want to be true.
Yeah.
You want that reaction. Some of their reactions do look genuine. Like,
And you can,
there's a huge amount of blood that splats in someone's face, and they look genuinely surprised by that. Now, maybe they weren't expecting as much, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's the rumor. The famous rumor is he didn't tell them, but I think it's not quite. I think maybe it was like he didn't quite tell them exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? He also played Jack the Ripper now, I think about it, didn't he?
He did in From Hell, based on the Alan Moore comic.
Also a great movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I think it's one of the only Alan Moore movies based on his comics that he doesn't intensely hate.
Because I know he doesn't want any of his stuff made into movies.
I think it's the only one where he doesn't actually really hate it.
Right.
At least he's not as vocal about it.
Yeah,
because he is about with Watchmen
with
and
everything else.
Yeah, League of Extraordinary. Is it League of Extraordinary? Did he do League of Extraordinary?
I think so.
Yeah.
Sounds
I mean, yeah.
I think he pretty much did everything.
Yeah. So, moving on to the next example, and it's another Spielberg example,
Spielbergian.
and it's from Raiders of the Lost Ark from 1981, and it's that famous.
Does not look how I remember it.
That's because we're watching an advert at the moment. Damn YouTube Premium prices.
I still have my YouTube Premium. I cancelled my
You're
Spotify.
Living the dream.
Cancelled my Spotify and got YouTube Premium instead. Even though I much prefer Spotify's usability.
You just don't want to watch ads at all.
I can't go back. I can't go back to watching adverts.
I had it for a month, and it was the best month.
No, you're the reason I have it.
Yeah.
You said, don't do it. You can't go back. And I went, oh, isn't that good? And then once you get used to not having adverts, it's like literally offensive to have to watch adverts. Yeah. In fact, it genuinely winds me up that Netflix and all the other streaming services, unless you pay a premium for them, now put adverts
robbing bastards.
Yeah, it's disgraceful.
Absolutely. Robbing bastards.
Here we go. Like you say, this is a very Steven Spielberg-esque 80s special effects. It's very Poltergeist and very, very much Raiders of the Lost Ark with the sort of, here we go, she's going to turn. Ghostly.
She's not looking normal.
Or are they angels? I don't really know what they are.
I think it's up to interpretation.
Yeah. They came out of the art.
And Balak
it's all going a bit wrong because they're all looking at it. Yeah.
Very powerful and full of power and glee. And then we get to that classic, iconic scene where the
melting of his head explodes, his face melts, and he catches fire, right?
And I think
his head pops, doesn't it? The dude in the middle's head pops.
I think. Yeah. I think they're.
Look at that! It's so good. So that's probably rock salt and a shotgun again, because it's the person, like we said before, who worked on. It wasn't the head special effects guy who did the shotgun rock salt in Scanners, but he was on the team, and he went on to do this and some other stuff.
And if he didn't do it in the same way,
it would be weird.
It would be weird, wouldn't it? You I know how they done that in this film. Let's not do it that way.
Apparently, if I'm remembering it correctly, to this day, that's one of Steven Spielberg's favorite special effects, the face melting scene.
Yeah. As far as
he wasn't that keen on it first. I had to speed it up like 300 times the speed or something, right?
Yeah. And I think, where films that do have CGI work is when they're mixed in with practical effects. So, on our Jurassic Park episode, we said it's mixture of CGI and it's mixture of practical. And Spielberg is great at doing that, where you've got a bit of both. You've got...
because Jurassic Park doesn't really age, or hasn't aged that badly for a film that was made in the mid-90s, the CGI, and it's because he uses it for what it's good for rather than for everything. And it's got the puppets, and it's daytime shots or rain, that sort of stuff. It's like, we can do that.
And I think that's where there is because we're not saying CGI is all bad. There are good examples, there are bad examples.
I hate it.
It's not my preference.
No, but yeah, like we said earlier, that when Gollum in Lord of the Rings was first done, so good. So good. And then obviously now it looks aged, but that was CGI. That's a CGI effect. I really, we spoke about this before, really want them to tidy it up, but they won't. They're leaving it alone, I think. But yeah, so CGI, like you say, can be good.
And, mixing it in with practical effects means that it's used sparingly. And effectively, it's like what we were saying about Jaws, where use it where we absolutely need it. Use it where there isn't any real other way, as opposed to, we've got something that we could achieve, but it's easier to do this, so we just use CGI. And Raiders of the Lost Ark is another great example of that. And obviously we're talking about specifically the face melts, because I think those are the bits which I remember the first time I watched that and being absolutely horrified. But also, it's like a car crash. You can't help but look.
I'm rewinding that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Many a VHS tape was ruined and being rewound several times around that scene every time it comes on. Yeah.
And so this was made. So again, they made a full head and shoulders out of something called alginate, which is what dentists used to use to make impressions of teeth.
Yeah.
Just like a rubbery kind of silicon type material. They then added in between the layers of alginate, layers of gelatin.
Right.
Which is jelly, for anybody who doesn't know the full name of. I don't know why everybody knows gelatin is.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh well. Trying to.
A dentist is someone who works on teeth, for those of you
A movie.
don't know.
So they made it, and then when it was ready to shoot, they essentially got 2 propane space heaters facing the model, turned them on, and caused it to melt, and then sped the footage up.
Yeah.
So I think it did take quite a long time.
Yeah, I forget. It's probably. I don't think it's like 300 times, but they sped it up by a lot.
Yeah, because it does it, and it looks absolutely great. Like it's one of those scenes where, as you say, you want to rewind it and you want to watch it again, because it's perfectly it's very similar in a way to what I don't like about towards the end of Last Crusade, where they do the opposite and they rapidly age somebody in that final
scene. He chose poorly.
And you can see that isn't happening right in front of you. Whereas here, you're like, that looks like it's happening right there.
Yeah. Do you know if, I'm going to call him Third Nazi, so the other person on the stage, because his face melts in a different way. Do you know if it was a similar
I think they were done in the same way.
Yeah.
I think what there was an air pocket in between one of the layers, and it kind of burst, which is why it has that, almost looks like part of the whole face comes away.
Yeah, it sort of slides off, doesn't it? It sort of implodes and falls off, I think.
And one thing,
can we rewind it a sec? Let's have a quick look at it.
But we're not doing it on tape. We're doing it on digital.
Rewind. Well, how would you call it? Can we skip back?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll always be rewind.
And one thing that Spielberg says he loves about this effect is the fact of, as the face melts, the hat falls down.
Yeah.
Ever so slightly past.
So I think we're going to see Third. There you go. There goes Third. Oh, look at that. The glasses fall off.
And you just see the hat kind of slide down. And then obviously his head explodes in this scanner style.
Yeah, so Third Nazi, as he's now known, it's very similar but different. It's different effect. This doesn't have the same layers in it, does it? It just sort of.
I think probably because they realised they weren't going to shoot it for as long, so they didn't do as many layers.
Could be right.
And then I think there was just a bit of an air pocket, so it created this effect of like it popping ever so slightly. And I think 1981, so 40,
in a kids movie,
44 years later,
kids movie,
exactly
in the early 80s. Sorry, crazy. Crazy. The stuff you could get away with back then,
Whereas now, you couldn't do that in a movie.
I would be feeling triggered.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to see that in a Disney movie now, would you?
I would.
Well, we would.
Oh, I forgot about that. It's in the bottom where the dude gets his face chopped off with a propeller from a plane. Yeah. Also, in the same movie, a kids movie.
So, moving on to the next example.
I had never heard of this before you sent me the clip.
Neither have I before researching, and I just think
I was thoroughly impressed.
I think it's such a...
Slightly confused why Octopus Lady needed a gun, but apart from that... Oh no, this is the stairway
This is a matter of life and death.
I apologise, yeah.
You've ruined it for the people.
I've ruined it. Yeah. We'll cut that bit out.
So this is from A Matter of Life and Death from 1946. And specifically, we're talking about the Stairway to Heaven scene. So YouTube it if you've not seen it. Because I would
hazard... available on YouTube.
They absolutely are.
Forms, aren't they, Ryan?
And YouTube it because this is a film that I'd never seen prior to this. Obviously, we've got David Niven.
Niven.
The first person to play James Bond on camera.
That's right. Is that Casino Royale?
Yeah, but it wasn't James Bond as we know it.
Yeah.
It was much more of a comedy caper. But I think this is just brilliant because in 1946, the filmmaking is so different to what it is even 10 years later, 20 years later, and so can't even say the word ingenuity of how they create this scene.
Yeah, I mean it's obvious to us looking at it how it's done, but it's still majestic as well. I mean, I speak about this a lot, or at least I used to when we used to do these podcasts. There is something endlessly charming about old films and their special effects and the way they look. I don't know what it is I love about them, but I just love it. And this has got that feel to it. I've never seen this film, as we said, but I was watching this. I was like, it seems fairly basic as far as a special effect goes, but it's effective, which is what you want out of a special effect. And like you say, if you put it in its context of 1946, it's math I can't do. Let's call it 80 years ago.
It's
79. We call it 80 years ago. And you go, it serves its purpose perfectly. No more, no less. You know what I mean?
And more so than it has any right to be. Like, we should be looking back at a film that's using some form of effect in 1946 and going, oh yeah, that looks really hokey now.
Yeah, it's a bat on a string sort of thing.
But actually we're looking at it and going, that look from a cinematography perspective, it looks amazing. And again, if you're trying to figure out how it's done, how it was done, it's kind of what you see is what you get, where they created a massive staircase of 126 steps.
Wow.
And connected it to essentially a big motor and created essentially a rudimentary escalator.
Yeah, a rather large escalator.
Which God knows how much that would have cost in 1946.
Right.
That would have been crazy. And then we obviously see the statues and kind of the pillars either side of the staircase, which is all done with forced perspective.
Really? So I love a bit of force.
It's all it's mixed in a very practical thing in terms of we've built this massive escalator type thing, and we're gonna shoot it in such a way where it looks like we've got these massive statues either side of it, and it's just such a wonderful thing to watch, totally out of context.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to know the context of a particular scene or a particular thing for you to appreciate. But I watched that and was like, I've never seen that film, but that looks amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think majestic is the word, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It serves its purpose perfectly, which is what more could you need?
So from 1946, a matter of life and death. Go and check that one out. But
all of these, you've got all of these in one place, haven't you? On the YouTubes, you're going to put a link in the podcast thing or something, so people can just find them. They can look through them.
And moving on to another Spielberg example.
Spielberg's is this now?
This is the third and final Spielberg.
Yeah.
But I think that kind of proves how good at practical effects and mixing them in with other types of effects, how good he is at using them, because we're now up to Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
I have never seen this movie.
To be fair, we could have gone for something like Star Wars, which the same effect is used to create the spaceships in Star Wars.
It's the funny thing though, because Star Wars Electric Light and Magic, what's this thing called? Light and Magic? Special effects company that he invented, pioneered so many practical effects that got used afterwards, didn't they?
And this, Close Encounters came out in the same year as A New Hope.
That's that right?
So, which came first? Chicken or the egg? Was it Star Wars or was it Close Encounters?
Star Wars.
There's your answer. But
I actually don't know.
But I think here, the reason I've chosen this particular example is because of the playfulness of the miniature that he uses, because this is all done, as I've just said, with miniatures and some lovely force perspective again, which is, you know, a staple of those Star Wars movies.
I always just assumed that it was dubbed on, as it were. You know what I mean? Like two shots stuck together. So when you see the ship over the top.
Yes, sorry, that's how it's in the same shot, but obviously to get how large.
So this here.
Yeah, to get how large the spaceship is, that's obviously done with force perspective in that shot that's stitched in with the people on screen. But the reason I chose this one as opposed to the many examples we could have used from Star Wars is because
you hate Star Wars.
I don't hate Star Wars. I'll be shot and murdered for that, is because of how playful he is in terms of putting this ship together. So he got the idea of this kind of I think he says oil rig, or like an oil refinery.
It's very clean for an oil rig, isn't it?
That he saw to and from the set of, I don't know if it was this film he was working on or a film he was working on at the time. I think it might have been this film. And everything looks very kind of industrial and very, you know, metallic. And so he wanted to recreate that effect.
Right. You know what I really like about this scene is, like, obviously the spaceship is making sort of noises, and then they're replicating it on a keyboard or whatever, and a synth or whatever. Yeah. And it goes back and forth, and it's playing all this like fantastical music. And then it takes a turn right at the end, right? And it plays the Jaws theme tune. It literally goes down a couple of octaves and just keeps going. Dun, dun, dun. I'm like, well, that cannot be an accident. You know what I mean? It's stuck out so much. Like I say, I've never seen this film, but obviously things are about to, I'm assuming things take a turn after this, right?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, because it all goes from like playful and happy, which is a really good, I love that sort of bait and switch thing that you can do in movies where you think, oh, look, it's everyone's having a nice time, they're all laughing, oh, the aliens are communicating, and then it goes heavy. And it is, as I say, the Jaws theme tune.
And
I'm like, did the aliens see Jaws? And they're like, this will get them up. This will get the wind up them. You know?
Do that shark movie. That'll scare the shit out of them. But
it's obviously like a nod and a wink.
It is a nod and a wink, because on that spaceship, he basically...
They had the VHS of Jaws.
Well,
they went to... Did Blockbuster exist in the early 80s?
It's not far off. They don't have a VHS of Jaws, but they do have a load of random items that have just been stuck on this big shell, essentially. So they have a model horse and a model unicorn. They have a mailbox, like a US mailbox, and they have an R2-D2 figure.
Of course they do.
So obviously, the fact that it references Jaws...
Never shy of stuffing Star Wars references into Steven Spielberg's movies. It's in Poltergeist, it's in Indiana Jones, and it's in this.
I mean, he's one step away from going, hey, Star Wars, hey...
I'm trying to think. I know E.T. pops up in Gremlins. I don't think Star Wars pops up in Gremlins.
Do you reckon there's one in Schindler's List?
What, hidden deep somewhere?
Somewhere deep.
Yeah, George, I can't keep doing this, George. Please. I'm sorry. Let me go.
It's just... I reckon he's just really...
There's like at least 2 Star Wars references in Indiana Jones, right? So there's bar Obi-Wan is in the second one. Mm-hmm. And at some point, isn't there like hieroglyphics of R2-D2 on the Ark or something like that, right?
So he's not afraid of having a wink and a nod.
Yeah. Go buy my toys. Available in the gift shop.
Surprised it doesn't come with like an Argos catalogue of Star Wars toys every time you buy the movie. But I think this is a great example of,
how much money do you think he's made out of Star Wars toys? It must be billions.
More than I will make in my lifetime.
Do you know how much he's worth? He must be billions, right?
Absolutely. I mean, just from toys alone.
Billions. He must be worth more than Elon Musk.
He must be. Or he must have made...
He must still be getting residuals from the toys, right? Even though he sold the company.
Yeah.
He must get residuals. How much did he sell the company for? That was a few billion, right? It's got to be.
Something like that, yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy.
And he regrets it, which is even crazier.
So
where are we on the list now? Is this number 9?
We are on number... So We have 3 more, including this one.
We thought this was going to be a quick episode.
Yeah. Well,
How long have we been at this now?
We are...
It turns out when you don't talk to someone for 2 years, it takes more than 10 minutes.
Into the episode. An hour and 20 into the episode.
Yeah.
So we're now on to the first of our James Cameron examples. And we are looking at the film True Lies and
This is so good.
The Great Harrier Jump Jet.
That's clearly not Arnold Schwarzenegger from the above shot.
So
that is clearly not him.
He's
got normal sized arms for a start. Yeah.
So James Cameron, obviously, by this point, has made 2 of the biggest action movies ever made in Aliens and Terminator 2. And so his budgets are going up at this point. And we get to True Lies, which has quite a phenomenal budget.
Got it.
And
do you know what it is? The budget. The budget.
Oh, off the top of my head, no, but I want to say it was in
12 billion.
12 billion. What's that adjusted for inflation? And towards the end of the film, we have the kind of showdown between the main antagonist and obviously Arnie's character, and it takes place on a Harrier jump jet.
Yes,
and
it's done way better than in Die Hard when he's surfing on a Harrier jump jet.
It absolutely is, because they decided to build a replica of a Harrier jump jet.
Cool.
And essentially they put it on this like crane type platform, a little bit like a bucking Bronco that could do 360-degree motion. And then all they done was stick that on top of a tall building in the city they were filming in. So there's not every shot. So there are some bird's eye view shots or top down shots where you see the ground below, which is superimposed.
It's matting, is it? That's what.
Yeah, but there is a lot of shots.
Because that's clearly stunt people though, because his daughter, not there, obviously it's close-ups, but the wide shots, the daughter becomes a middle-aged woman quite quickly, and Arnold loses a lot of weight. But that's, for want of a better word, green screened. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But there are a lot of shots from the side.
That's the wide shots are clearly stunt people, even though. So this is just on top of a building here.
Yeah, so
it's crazy.
The way they've shot it is obviously you can't see the building.
Yeah, it's the old Buster Keaton.
Yeah,
right.
Which is exactly where they got the idea from, and those scenes are the ones that stick out, because the ones where you can kind of see that it is a little bit of CGI and it is kind of superimposed onto a green screen or onto some matting, but the ones where it has that wide shot and you can see a very real lifelike city in the background is absolutely effortless. Not effortless, sorry, is flawless in its capturing of the grandness and the scale of...
You're fired.
Perfectly timed with the video that we're currently watching. Oh, the thing I love about this movie is the fact that the main antagonist is the same dude who was in Doctors, the BBC One daytime soap drama.
Yeah,
so
I think for a while he became go-to villain for Hollywood.
Yeah,
right?
Go-to villain for Hollywood movies.
Yeah, superb. I love any movie where they stick people on really high buildings and then use crafty camera work to make it look like they're suspended.
Which is, as you said, is the old Buster Keaton trick, where I think it was the one where he's hanging off of the...
It's like a clock, isn't it?
He's hanging off
They
of the
basically
clock.
built a wall on top of a...
on
top of a very tall building, but still...
And then,
very nearly killed him, you know what I mean? And all those sort of things, Or could have, I should say.
The camera trickery in that is the fact that he's standing in the right place at the right time when things often fall around him.
Yeah. As he's falling off stuff. So we're now... This is the octopus lady I was talking about before.
So we're now...
What is the title of this film?
So we're now moving on to our penultimate example, which is from the film Shh, the Octopus.
Is that Shh? Because I didn't think there was enough H's. H's.
That's how I'm saying it.
I think it's Shh, the octopus, which in itself doesn't make sense either.
Shh, the octopus. Though that animal is so well known for not liking a lot of noise.
Oh, is it? 1937 censorship rules, and it's actually shit the octopus. Shit the octopus.
So
Because there is an exclamation mark after the shit.
The octopus.
The octopus lady. I know nothing about this film, but when I watched it, I really now want to see this film.
Yeah.
Because they're like, my God, you're the octopus.
So this shot, I always thought for some reason was from The Wizard of Oz.
Really?
And I don't know why, because it's so clearly not The Wizard of Oz.
I suppose it's very cackly witch-esque.
Very,
kind
very
of acting,
similar
isn't it?
kind of.
But rubber octopus.
This is
what's not to love.
So this is from Shifty
the octopus.
This is from Shush the Octopus from 1937. So
we were still at war.
You know, we're talking.
Is the octopus a metaphor for Hitler? You know what I mean?
Who knows? Who knows? But I think that this effect is perhaps my favourite of the entire list.
Like I said, I'd never seen it. I watched it. I rewound the bit that we're now looking at about 5 times, staring at it, going, I do not know how they did that. Like, and I'm sure it's really obvious. And if it is how I think it's done, then it's a masterclass of that technique.
And I think before we even get on to how they done it, that's exactly why this is one of my favourites. I mean, it was the although I said Scanners was my, the one that had to be on the list. When we first spoke about this, I didn't know what film it was from. I thought it was from The Wizard of Oz, but I was like, I need that old lady transformation one from like the 30s because it was 1937, and it looks. I'd say arguably it looks so good. It looks like CGI.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much this looks like somebody has just used CGI.
Yeah. It's
a time traveller in 1937 has made a movie, called it Shush the Octopus, but happened to use one of the best pieces of CGI. But it's not CGI. So essentially for anybody who would like to know what happens. So there's this old woman.
She pulls off her wig.
She pulls off her wig and very quickly she transforms into a much uglier old woman.
With sort of black skin, but not really kind of, I don't know, it's kind of warty and very shady, octopus-like, I suppose. Yeah.
And
very witch-like.
What is fascinating about this is that if this had been in colour, they wouldn't have been able to achieve the effect.
Interesting.
So how they achieve this is essentially they have the actor or actress in full makeup for the finished product. So the only thing that she does here is reveal the hair and, takes the wig off and then the horrible wet,
Can I make
matted
a guess?
hair. Make a guess. Make a guess.
Is it done with lighting?
Kind of, but kind of not.
Okay.
It's achieved with filters. So anybody who has worked in the theatre industry, where you want a different coloured light, you use a gel that goes over the front of the light to create that colour or create that effect.
I just thought it was just like coloured see-through.
It's very, very similar in the sense of they put a filter over the camera lens.
Right.
That doesn't pick up any of the makeup.
Yeah.
Because it's black and white, only certain things will pick up.
Yeah.
And then at the desired point, they simply remove the filter.
Wow. Can you rewind it?
And
now I know that I want to see it again. So does it reveal up and down? You can't see it though. It's not like a screen wipe, if you know what I mean, where they've removed the filter. It literally feels like it fades onto the screen. That's insane.
And it is 1937. That cannot be said enough because it's
well, in 1937 they barely knew how to point a camera at things. You know what I mean? It was only literally the beginning of talkies, wasn't it?
Yeah. At that point they were thinking if we put music in talkies, then people think they're watching an old silent film.
We've done music.
We don't need music in films. We don't need to do that.
We're doing talking now.
And I just think that's one of the best examples.
That's so good. Like I say, I rewound it a bunch. Until you just told me, I was like, lighting maybe.
Lighting probably had a.
At first, I was like, 2 shots superimposed and stitched together, and then I watched it again. I was like, there's no way, there's no join. And I was like, maybe it's lighting, maybe it's like glow in the dark makeup, like you say, because it's black and white. It doesn't look luminous when you see it, and they just changed
So yeah, it's
like the lighting, but it filter.
It's the certain color of makeup with the certain
color of filter. Yeah, of course, yeah.
And then the filter at one point is removed, and obviously the way it's removed is in such a way that you don't get that screen wipe.
Yeah.
Obviously, lighting will probably have a effect on how good it is as well. So the lighting would be a function in that, and I just think that is, for 1937, that still looks better than a lot of CGI we get in today's.
Superb.
So moving on to our final example, and we are back with James Cameron, and we are with Terminator 2, and specifically it's from the director's cut.
Yeah, it threw me. We were talking about this earlier. It threw me at first. I was watching it because obviously it starts the same as I remember it in the film. And I was like,
elongated.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't remember this bit.
And essentially, we have the scene where they're being patched up after one of their many battles, and they have to take the chip out of the Terminator's head.
Yes.
And we were discussing before we started recording that it's a rather rudimentary way of resetting the chip.
Yeah. Skynet is this super duper all-seeing, all-knowing internet. And they're like, you got to take the chip out of my head and flick a switch and put it back in. It's like, doesn't seem likely.
Yeah. And the scene in question, they're patching themselves up. So they're patching up the Terminator, Arnie himself. And they're doing so in front of a mirror.
Yeah, it's pretty groovy, right? I love this sort of stuff. And it's clearly a puppet, right?
There's
they take the thing out of his head.
Yeah.
But in front of you is what looks like a mirror. Yeah.
So there's like a double switch here in terms of what you think is going on and then what actually is going on. So when they are facing the mirror, there's like a swooping panning shot.
Yeah.
And how it works is the mirror isn't actually a mirror, it's just a frame.
Of course.
Arnie and Linda Hamilton are on the other side along with Edward Furlong. And then camera side, there is, I think it's at certain points, it's a body double for Arnie Schwarzenegger.
So that's a Muppet right there.
But where
see that's a puppet. There's Arnie.
But at certain points, it's a cast head with the appropriate.
It's weird how you can tell just by looking at the back of his head that it's a puppet. Like, that's a puppet. And he's obviously the other side in real life. Yeah. Standing there.
But what I love about this as well is because when we just take it back, the thing that makes it even more impressive is if I just pause it on this exact shot here, we can see camera side, Edward Furlong holding a light, what looks like to be a puppet or some sort of cast head.
Yeah.
Or the back of it. And then we see
what should be the reflection.
But if you cast your eyes to Linda Hamilton, what's amazing is that we see her in profile view in both shots.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say there.
And it's brilliant because it's so obvious. But
it's her sister.
It's because she's an identical twin.
Yeah.
And so they use that to their advantage, and they use it to their advantage later on in the film as well. Yeah,
I was going to say, where I only found out a few years ago.
Yeah, where
that was her sister.
T-1000
because they are genuinely identical.
Yeah,
like I'm sure if you stood them next to each other, like a lot of identical twins.
You're wearing a red jumper, she's wearing a brown jumper.
A lot of identical twins aren't that identical.
There's usually one that's slightly fatter than the other one, or has a beard,
slightly different face shape or something.
Because they were beaten up, or whatever it may be.
But there's are they policemen or are they security guards in this? The ginger fella in the they're twins as well because they turned up in Gremlins 2.
Yes, they do. Yeah,
because the goblin. I don't know how they did that scene, but yeah, it was only a few years ago that I found out that she had an identical twin, and they used her in this film. And there she is again. It's genius.
And I think this is there's no sort of massive. This isn't a massive stunt. This isn't a a big set piece as such. It's just a very, very simple piece of getting the right type of shot and using what's available. Okay, Linda Hamilton happens to have an identical twin. Let's use that to our advantage. We've got the cast of Arnie's head, which is a lot better than the cast from the first Terminator film, which as we were saying earlier, does look a bit ropey nowadays.
I love it, though.
But I still fucking love it. And then obviously on the other side of the fake mirror that is just a frame, we have the real Arnold Schwarzenegger with
one of the Hamiltons.
One of the Hamiltons.
We're not sure which is which. I love it. It's that sleight of hand thing. We talk about it a lot. It's all magicians' tricks and stuff. A lot of these sort of practical effects are borrowed straight from magicians, like the John Hurt body casting. That's straight up magician's tricks, sawing people in half kind of stuff.
Get a contortionist to fit in this tiny box size.
And this is that sort of, it's just that sleight of hand sort of thing where if you're not really looking at it, you're not going to realize how it's done.
Yeah, and it's
if you are looking at it and you don't know she's got a twin,
and that's what
I mean,
which
I didn't for years, you're going to be looking at it going, hang on, how did they?
It's one
how
of
did they do? I know how they did Arnie, because that's not Arnie, etc. You know,
it's one of those things where until somebody points it out. So, for example, that shot, you could probably guess, yeah, that's a puppet because it's a puppet.
It looks a bit rubbery.
It looks a bit rubbery and also
lifeless.
Yes. Okay, well, that's clearly Edward Furlong in front of the thing, and then or a body double, and then that's fine. But it's only when, as I say, I've paused on the exact timing because you can both see the faces of Linda Hamilton and her sister, and it's only then when somebody points out that you go, "Oh, that's how they done it. Isn't that brilliant? That's movie." Exactly. Movie magic, right there.
Movie magic. No, exactly, and it is as we keep saying. It's wondering how they've done it and then finding it out it's such a glorious process. Whereas right clicking on a mouse is not interesting in the slightest.
Maybe it is to people who are interested in computers.
There's
technology.
There's a certain element of that's well done. Like, it's well done. Look, they've made the hair look really realistic, or they've really nailed the wind breeze, or the way the light would shine off here. But it's not interesting.
My thing is like in games where they really nail the water effects. Like
water effects is one of those things.
When water looks like water, you're like, oh, look at the water. It looks great. But
now, like you say, in the age of AI, it's almost all moot.
Exactly. It's a click of a button and then something happens in the background and something appears.
Yeah, the technology used on giant budget films 20 years ago, like you say, is now available in your phone.
Yeah.
That is crazy. And zero effort, zero necessity being the mother of all invention required. Do you know what I mean? Zero, you can just be like, I need something like this, and your phone. And
there's some real ethical kind of issues around art and AI as well.
Oh, it's all theft, isn't it?
It's all a load of hokey where let's just use a bit more practical effects and make movies magical again.
Magic of movies. I think they will. I think, as with most hipstery type things, there is a yearning within people for tactile, tangible realness. Everything in our current world is so, I want to say fake, but like, Instagram filters, digital this, AI that, and I think as a species, I think and hope that there's much more of a want to return to tangible, real things, even if they look a bit more ropey. It feels genuine. I think there's a yearning for genuosity. It's not a word. It's like when we invented Spielberg. Word?
It is now.
I think there's a yearning for just something that's genuine and real in our age could easily be summed up as fake news, fake movies, AIs, everything's just impersonating something else, So I hope and pray for a return to this era, the golden age.
But until then, we're just continuing to watch the movies
and moaning like old men. I don't like these modern movies with their special effects and their Instagram. You can do it on your phone.
There's no skill in that.
Didn't have phones when I was younger. No phones.
You have to read a book.
No phone.
You seen there's some stand-up comedian, and I'm not going to be able to do this justice, so I probably shouldn't have brought it up, but he does this thing. You ever seen the SNL sketch of George Washington on the boat? And he's like, I dream of America where we will measure things in inches. He's like talking about the metric system. That bloke, whose name I can't remember, has got a thing about, if I went back in time, I don't think no one would notice. I wouldn't make a blind bit of difference. He's like, I'd see someone on a giant phone and be like, do you know, in the in the future they'll make them small enough to fit in your pockets. And really, how does that work? Oh, yeah, I don't know. Something to do with satellites. What's a satellite? Probably shouldn't have brought that up. Oh, well. He's like, I wouldn't even be able to prove to you that I was from the future. But like, who's the next president? Yeah, I don't know. I think of that a lot.
So
As we
fucking true.
sit here moaning about the present day. If I went back in time, I wouldn't make much difference.
So fucking true. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Bury Our Bones with Cinema. We really appreciate you joining us as we deep dive into the world of film. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media pages to stay informed. You can find us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram and X at Bury Our Bones with Cinema. You've been listening to Jimmy Murphy and Ryan Etherington, and we will see you next time for cinematic discussions and hidden treasures. But until then, don't forget to keep your bones buried in the world of cinema. And it will be a one-button job. Boom, 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 toom, toom, toom.
I have a terrible tendency to just scroll about and record. But if you're talking, when we're doing it, I still find it slightly distracting.
It's a bit weird, but I think it's a bit weird, but I suppose...
Maybe if you listen to it back, see if it sounds... I was like, I'm going to have to stop it. You listen to it back,
Good job I observed that well, wasn't it?